live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Hey, hey, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, 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 we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
Okay, so on to topics now.
Yes.
Yeah, this is interesting. Y'all just stay with us. Buckle up. So the Lakers, I can't remember what day I saw this, but Anthony Davis, AD from the Lakers, hurt again. I know they did an MRI. Did they say whether, I can't remember whether they said what it was or not yet.
He has been dealing with a calf for years, but I can't remember if that was the thing.
Yeah, I know they said it was an MRI. They had to do an MRI. So I know it was bad because he knew it was probably season ending just because of his reaction. When he got up finally, he broke down in the hallway on the way to the locker room.
He probably thought it was worse than what it is.
I hope that's the case.
I don't know what the grade is, but it's an MCL sprain.
Okay.
Which for those of you
come on, kinesiologists.
Who don't know what an MCL is, it's basically a ligament in your knee. And it runs down the inside of your knee. It's called the medial collateral ligament.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And it helps the knee to stabilize when you move it from side to side. And so spraining it hurts. Tearing it is worse, but spraining it hurts really, really bad, and it makes it hard to move side to side. So he'll be out for 4 weeks with that injury. Okay.
But it's my chandelier analogy is starting to be AD's reality. I'm worried. Like, are you fragile? What's happening? Are you not? Like, I'm almost like, what is it that look? I mean, recently he's been hurt a lot more, but for almost 20 years, LeBron has just been durable.
Right.
Very rare are we seeing him before. It's been a lot more lately, but very rarely were we seeing him injured. And I'm just wondering, like, do you need to hang out with LeBron, Tom Brady, somebody? Because maybe you're not taking care of your body the way you need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something. It's just, yeah. Either that or you just fragile.
I think with especially with sports, like, there are a lot of variables, and while that might be one of them, it's very difficult to tell if injury history is a product of just not training enough, or if it is genetics.
That's what I guess that's when I said, are you just fragile? Are you not doing enough? Or are you just, are you just fragile? Do you just, some people are just prompt. That's okay. So for you all who don't know, my terminology of chandelier, let me give you the background. So the Atlanta Falcons used to have a quarterback named Chris Chandler. And I promise you, if somebody blew on Chris Chandler, he got hurt. No exaggeration. And so I started calling him Chris Chandelier instead of Chris Chandler. And now I just use the term chandelier when I'm talking about people who seem to be injury prone. And so AD is getting in that category of chandelierism for me.
Yeah. It's always hard to tell. And I try hard not to be so hard on, like, if anybody knows me in my career, every year as a football player, at least, I don't know much about how basketball players deal with this on a higher level, like in college, but every year you're hurt. Like, there is something that you're dealing with.
I imagine playing 82 games or however many they play in college. You hurt.
Right.
I'm hurting.
Like, I remember, like, my freshman year, it started off with a shoulder sprain. And I missed my first start. Right. Very first time I missed it because actually no, I started, but I came out the game after the first play.
Yeah.
But because it just hurt. And so after a couple of games, I came back, and then I fractured my thumb. And
little stuff. It feel like little stuff, right?
Right. And so like it's one of those things where like you could, if you wrap it up tight enough and you got the brace on it and all of that, you could play through it, but it hurt, like it hurts.
Yeah, I can't.
And so, you know, throughout my career, I've had injuries that hurt, but none like the injury my senior year where I tore my medial and lateral meniscus. And that is something that you should have surgery for.
Yeah. And
I ended up playing through it. And so I think that in retrospect, playing through it at the time felt like the manly thing to do. But in retrospect, in my career being furthered, whether that, you know, would have been playing a long NFL career, playing in the CFL, or playing semi-pro, you know, the decision is to play through that injury affected my career going forward. If I had surgery right after the injury and not played the next 8 games and then had surgery, I would have been, at least I would have been in a lot better shape to, you know, to go forward. And so I'm sensitive to the subject of players being injured a lot or playing through injury because I look back at it and I think to myself, like, what did that really get me? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, maybe someone, you know, that was what, 12, 13 years ago. And someone says, oh, Jarrett played through such and such injuries. He was a tough player. But like, what does that really
right?
You know?
Right. In the big scheme of scope of
in the grand scheme of things. And so, you know, I'm always sensitive in talking about these subjects of injury just because, like, I know what it is to be injured to the extent of it's like, all right, you're not really supposed to be playing. Like, I literally had to get doped up before every game, and I say that in jest, but
no, well, but it is essential because they had to numb you up to
in order to play in these games. And it's like, you know, I set out my whole senior season for an ankle injury, and it's like in your mind you start to like hear those things like, oh, is he injury prone? You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Like, and so you hear those things and it kind of presses against your manhood, even though maybe it shouldn't, or maybe you don't think it's supposed to.
No.
But to be told that you're fragile, or to be told that, you know, those things do kind of hit at the core of you, like, okay, well, in order for me to show that I'm tough, let me play through this injury.
No. So, well, thank you for sharing it. I mean, that's not my point. I'm not saying he needs to be on the floor, because I don't think that.
No, well, so I'm guilty of it as well. And that's why I had to reflect on it and think about my own experience, because like a lot of the times people play through those injuries and hurt themselves even more just because of perception.
KD coming back for the Warriors.
Yes, that's a perfect example.
Yep.
You know,
I feel like Russell Wilson came back to her.
Perfect examples, you know. And then we see their play start to suffer, and we're like, well, you're out there, you playing, you should be playing well. And it's like, well, I don't want to look like I'm soft or fragile, but I'm also not, I'm doing my team a disservice by playing under the conditions that I'm playing. And so it's a double-edged sword.
It is. And I just want to be clear. AD, I don't think you should be out there playing. And there's nothing wrong with you being injury prone. I think we just need to evaluate what that means. For me, in my head, I'm more on the side of, do I keep doing this to myself? Because obviously what we do with the project, or even with New Breed Works, we talking about you're more than the sport, right? So I'm always of the mindset that when the sport is over with me, am I willing to walk away? And I think for me, when I talk about people in their fragility or them seeming fragile, in that respect of being injury prone, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm talking about it from the standpoint of, like, first of all, like you said, if I still am going to play, am I going to give myself the appropriate and correct amount of time to get my body right all the way back? And then if I'm not, what am I doing? Am I okay with leaving this in order to, you know what I mean? Like, I think that, like the way Calvin Johnson walked away from football, because he said, if I continue, I got to keep being doped up. And I don't want to be doped up. I can't smoke to get myself right. So I got to go.
Right.
Essentially, that was his stance.
No, that was it.
So, yeah, but he made the informed.
They could have just let my man smoke his weed. And
let him go smoke.
Puff
pass and keep it moving, like whatever works for him. I'm just saying, he made that informed decision. He did. He made an informed decision, and he did it like looking at the bigger picture, like we're talking about. So that's just kind of where I was with that. All right. Next topic.
All right.
Kyrie Irving.
Oh, man.
So, for you all who don't know, Kyrie Irving was kind of pretty much put on the shelf, put on ice for the season because by the Nets, because because of his vaccination status, basically. And in New York. In New York, they have pretty much passed a law where you can't be in a place where it's lots of people, basically, where you cannot gather at space, basically, if you're not vaccinated.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, because they've experienced a spike in COVID cases, ironic.
Right.
Anyway, that now all of a sudden they decided to take him off the shelf, get him out of the ice, and let him play part-time. And that means he'll play when they play places other than cities where they have this kind of rule or law or policy in place. So we talked about this, is this fair that they're doing this?
Of course not. And this isn't anything against Kyrie. When you take a stance like that, you have to be prepared for the consequences that come with taking that stance. And so I have no problem with Kyrie doing it.
Right.
But when you acquiesce to
big word, Jarrett.
when you acquiesce to kind of his demand of like, okay, I want to play and I don't want to get the vaccination until, then what happens is all of those folks that you may get that vaccination, and to be clear, the NBA didn't force anybody to get a vaccination. There are teams in in certain states, like the teams in New York, the teams in California. I'm not sure any other states that have adopted this.
No, I don't know.
But those teams, because of the rule that you stated, they have to be vaccinated in order to play in those facilities. And so I think allowing after the Brooklyn Nets made the statement that they weren't going to do any part-time stuff with Kyrie, allowing him to play now, it just kind of it just looks away.
It's hypocritical.
No, definitely hypocritical.
It's hypocritical. And I just feel like we've had this conversation about this whole professional sports mimicking, emulating slavery to some degree, right? And I feel like it's that mentality that you didn't do it our way, so we were going to punish you, but now we need you, so we can ignore the rules and just let you come to. It's kind of what
that was a great
the
point,
microcosm of the society we live in right now,
Yeah.
right? That at first it's like, no, we can't do that. No, we're not. No, and then when it benefits, or you see that your back is against the wall, then oh, but this was a rule or a law. You were standing. So essentially, what happened? I love the words you use, and I'm gonna use them. Essentially, Kyrie Irving stood his ground, but the Nets did not.
That is what happened.
That's what happened. Now you need him. Well, you should have thought about that before you put your foot down, because now you look soft. Now you look like so wishy-washy. Like now he's gonna push you around.
Exactly, and that's the
give
thing.
him the upper hand, and anybody else who's out there who decided not to be vaccinated, and then now you've given them some ammunition.
And so, and my thing was with Kyrie, he stood his ground, like you said, like, and for you to now, if you were going to make this decision, you should have never said anything in the beginning. You
should have just kept your mouth shut, because you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know what was going to happen, but you thought, he going to give in. That's what you thought.
Right.
Oh, he's going to give in. There's no way he's going to keep. Oh, okay. Sure. So this is interesting.
It's getting worse with this Omarion variant. Like,
listen, and not the Omarion. Did you call it Omarion?
It's the Omarion variant. It's dancing all through the country.
Omarion, we sorry. No, that's so funny. But yeah, I mean, he's in COVID protocol. He's in the COVID protocol right now. Anyway. I mean, I guess they had to put him in.
I'm about to say that.
Back,
that's par for the course.
Yeah, but still, I don't like it. Just make up your mind. Just make up your mind. That's all I have to say. Yeah. All right. So yeah, y'all make up your mind. So this next one.
Is this your GOAT?
Huh?
I just like to say, I made a very, very unpopular, in my opinion, well, especially for you, take a couple of months ago when I was like, I don't know, he just may be entering that, for me being the GOAT. And then he does something like this, and it's just like, I really don't like that guy.
I'm not, you know what? I don't, anyway, let me tell y'all what we're talking about.
Okay.
We do this all the time.
I stay doing that.
Yeah, we always do. So Tom Brady, they played the Saints last Sunday night. Was it Sunday night?
Sunday night, yeah.
Last Sunday night, they played the Saints and lost 9-0.
The Saints went marching in.
Yes, they did. So essentially a shutout of Tom Brady, which is unheard of. So he was rightfully very frustrated, right? But his unsportsmanlike actions continue to show up in these moments when he's not getting his way, so to speak. So he threw a tantrum, and this time what he did was, and it is not alleged now, it's true. He did it.
Oh no, we saw it.
He used some colorful language with the interim coach who was stepping in the moment, because Sean Payton, the Saints coach, is out for COVID. And so their interim defensive coordinator, bless his heart, just doing his job, doing it well, mind you. They shut you out. You roll past him and you use some expletives to tell him about what you thought about him and his team. Okay.
Tell him to go F himself.
Yes, I didn't want to say it, but there was. And so that wasn't the end, though. That was enough to get anybody else on cancel culture, right? Anybody else, just that would have been enough to get you on cancel culture. But no, Tom wasn't through Tantrum Tom wasn't through. He decides to go to the sideline and throw the tablet.
And broke it.
Smashed it. Broke it. I can't remember what saint that was that tweeted out and said that about Microsoft. I have a friend who needs a new
oh yes. Oh man.
I have a friend who needs a new Surface. Can you help it out? Oh, that was so funny. But anyway, yeah. So I guess when I was this behavior is just ridiculous to me, and only because of Tom Brady that he gets away with it. Would anybody else be allowed to carry on like this without some repercussions, even if it wasn't from the league or the team, but just in general from the culture? Would anybody else be able to get away with this? How does he keep getting to throw tantrums like this? And you gave a great example, and I want you to talk about it.
Well, let me say first, like, the statement you made about it, you said it from your mouth to God's ears. This is the epitome of white privilege.
Yes.
The epitome, because Odell Beckham Jr. is just as fiery on the sideline. And the media has made him a problem and a cancer in the locker room because of all of this, because of just showing some passion, as they said.
That's what weren't those Tom Brady's words?
Right.
That was his reasoning for this, right?
Yeah.
It's a game. We play in the middle of the game. Emotions. We heighten emotions. But Odell Beckham Jr.
Because when he does something like this,
he didn't destroy nothing, nor did he cuss out a coach.
Exactly.
Maybe his own, but anyway.
Yeah, he probably deserved to be cursed out. But that's
neither
another story for it, right?
Yeah.
But no, and we see this all the time when we see black players who are, passionate and fiery. They get labeled as, tough to deal with. But Tom Brady, and it's not just Tom Brady, but using Tom Brady in this example.
Well, he's the GOAT in everybody's mind. So.
Right. He's just a fiery competitor. I think it was Skip Bayless who said it. He's just Psycho Tom. He's just such a competitor.
Oh, that makes it psycho. Oh, okay.
The crazy part was maybe the segment right before that, he was talking about Odell Beckham Jr. being the diva. And I'm like,
oh, but that's not diva.
You don't see the hypocrisy?
Yeah. No, you can't, because it's what? White
privilege. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that did something to me. I was like, really? I just kept waiting. Like, is something or somebody gonna say something that's going to, you know what I mean? Like, this is not appropriate. This is not appropriate for a professional athlete. This is not appropriate behavior.
Right.
And then not even that. So Odell Beckham Jr. is a skilled player. Tom Brady is the quarterback.
The leader.
The leader. I don't care what team you on. The quarterback is a leader.
Yeah.
And it did something to me. I said, oh, so he gets to get away with this, because I don't understand how this is okay. This is not okay, Tom. I don't care how much you get your emotions in check, man.
Lord.
Because you got the right one. Because, just think somebody had done that to your coach. Now, we know Bruce Arians. He white shot.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't have been.
They might have got pounded out.
It wouldn't have been pretty at all. I know that defensive coordinator was just in shock. Like, what? Like,
yeah. Like, really? He just came over here and said
you
this to me?
just said that to me. Like, you better be glad we playing football. Like, you can run on now, because,
I mean, it's the same behavior we saw in the Super Bowl when he ran up and got in, what's his name? Tyrann Mathieu's face?
Matthew. That's what I'm saying. He has Skip Bayless's word. There's a little psycho there. But I need you to get it under control, because you don't get to do that just because you're Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So, all right, last So we've talked about the NFL, the NBA. We've mentioned this several times within these two topics as well.
Right.
What should the sports world do about the uptick of COVID cases? We're seeing the NHL making a decision. We've seen, seems like hockey is really the one that's like, nah, we're not going, because they've decided not to play they've decided not to participate in the Olympics. The NHL has, and then I just saw where like I guess it's their amateur or under their AAU version of NHL. They're not doing any of their stuff that they would normally do this year. So what are your thoughts?
Another thing, Texas A&M pulled out of their bowl game, and I believe Rutgers just accepted the bid to play in that game on behalf of Texas A&M. But I mean, it just looks horrible, right? Like everyone who knows me knows that I'm a fan of the Washington football team, and we just played a game the other day against the Eagles, and it was like, and let me again publicly apologize to the NFL because I tweeted out some very unsavory things about you guys, and I realized after reading an article that it wasn't the NFL who forced these games to go on because they wanted to cancel them. It was the NFLPA who understood that by canceling those games, these players wouldn't get paychecks, so they weren't willing to cancel the games. So I guess I understand it from that point, but the product on the field was terrible, and it's unfortunate that the NFL, and I know we're talking about all leagues, has such a lock on us that we can't turn away and we can't vote with our eyes at what we feel like is a poor product.
Yeah.
If you are playing games where you got teams who have, I believe the Ravens right now only have about 13 players on defense.
Wow.
Who are able to play this weekend. Come on, man.
You don't play.
Yeah.
All you need is one person hurt.
Right.
You're done.
And so it's just unfortunate that not just with the NFL, but with all sports, that the majority of these decisions are solely based on money, not the health of the people involved. And we keep seeing this virus mutate. And while this doesn't have the mortality rate as Delta
or the original,
it's way more contagious, you know.
And we still don't know all of the details about what this is doing to people in the long run, right? So I think people are they're feeling like, oh, people coming back, they good, they getting out here, they get sick, they get through it, they come back, they're good. It's almost like the flu, right? And in some cases, that's as much as it's been like for people, right? It's just like a flu-like thing. You come back, you're good. But some people, because I remember us having this story about this young man who played for Penn State, I believe it was, who had to retire from football because his heart was enlarged after this. So we just do not know. And so why take the gamble? Y'all, you trying to tell me that in the last 15 weeks, you ain't made enough money? That you can't stand to miss a check or two?
Right.
Over your life. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. Like, you can keep that money if it's that. If it's that or that, you can keep it as long as, and if you have not done the things, because that's a whole nother subject to talk about. Because if you are so concerned about your check over your life, because you worry you won't be able to take care of your bill, then you're overextending yourself. Because if you in 15 weeks don't have enough money, mind you, y'all, these people's leaving out with more money than the average person makes in a year. Yeah. And one check.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, maybe you need to check your lifestyle.
That's true.
If it's got to be my life or this, I'm checking my lifestyle. Yeah. So I agree that they need to, I think the whole country just needs to, unpopular opinion, I'm sure, just have another shutdown right now, especially because this variant isn't as deadly or people aren't being hospitalized. as much. I'm glad to see Pfizer just came out with this pill. People can stay at home when they're sick and get well there, and not have to keep overcrowding and overstressing these frontline workers in these hospitals. But if we just shut down for a minute, because this one seems weaker than even the original, we might be okay. And we can all go back outside instead of just some people.
Right. The people, I won't say that.
Yeah, just some people.
Yeah.
So I'm just, that's my take on that. But yeah, so. Okay.
Put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.